The door that didn't open Thrain had stopped, but Anna's shoes were still wet from the puddles outside the studio. She stood under the rusting canopy of the casting building, staring at the heavy door like it owed her something like it. Held her whole future and had decided to stay shut. Ow. For the third time that week, her name hadn't been called. She had waited, she had smiled, she had rehearsed lines until her throat burned. But once again, the assistant peeked out and simply said, "Thank you for coming. We're done for the day." Anna didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just stood there, staring at the door until her reflection blurred in the glass. Behind it were dreams she'd carried since she was 12. Back then, she didn't even know English. She just watched old Hollywood films with subtitles and believed one day she'd be part of that world. But that door, it stayed closed. She turned and began walking slowly down the sidewalk. Her thin coat, no match for the evening wind. Los Angeles had a cruel way of testing hope. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, but she didn't answer. It was her manager again. It's probably another reminder to keep her spirits up and stay available. But words like that didn't warm her now, not when she felt invisible. She passed a street musician playing a sad tune on a bent saxophone. The music followed her like her own thoughts. Quiet, broken, tired. That was when she saw him. Keanu Reeves stood outside a small cafe across the street. Not the superstar version people expected, with the red carpet suit or polished smile. Just jeans, a hoodie, and a thoughtful face. Or maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was just watching the same broken evening. But then, something strange happened. He crossed the street and said her name. Not "hey" or "excuse me," he said Anna, soft and sure. She blinked in confusion. "Do I know you?" she asked, half joking, half wary. "I've seen your work," he said gently. And I saw what just happened. Anna felt her chest tighten. Embarrassment washed over her. "Yeah," she whispered. "I didn't make the cut." Keanu looked at her like he wasn't hearing failure, like he was seeing something else entirely. "Sometimes," he said, "you're not rejected. You're just ... being redirected." Anna almost laughed. "Easy for you to say," smiled. Not the celebrity smile, but the kind that held weight. "Maybe. But even I know what rejection feels like." They stood there in silence for a moment. Cars passed. The musician kept playing. The world moved on. But in that quiet pause, something shifted. Keanu finally spoke again. "Come have tea with me." Anna hesitated. She didn't want pity. But something in his voice wasn't pity. It was understanding. Inside the cafe, it was warm. They sat near a window where the lights reflected on the glass like soft stars. Anna wrapped her hands around a mug still cold from outside. Keanu didn't rush her. He let the silence be kind. "This role meant everything to me," she finally said. "I trained for months, memorized every word. I even changed my look. Still, they looked through me like I wasn't real, so maybe they didn't see you." Keanu said, "But I did. And I know someone else who will too." She looked up. "Who?" He didn't answer directly. Pulled out his phone, scrolled for a moment, and showed her a message thread. She recognized the name immediately. A legendary director. The kind whose films win awards and stay in hearts for years. "He's an old friend," Keanu said. "He's looking for someone. And I think it might be you." Anna blinked hard. "Why would you do that for me?" Keanu didn't flinch. "Because someone did it for me once. Because I believe in people who don't give up, even when doors don't open." Anna felt tears building. She blinked them back. Because she didn't want to cry, but because she didn't want to waste a moment of this unexpected grace. Keanu sipped his tea. "You know what's funny?" he asked. "The best roles. They usually come after the worst days." Anna smiled for the first time in hours. Outside, the musician had packed up. The rain had started again, gentle and quiet. But inside that little cafe, a spark had returned to her chest. Not a full fire yet, just a flicker. But it was enough. And for the first time in a long while, Anna didn't feel invisible. The unexpected message edit. Next morning, Anna woke up before sunrise. Her phone was still on silent from the night before, resting face down on her nightstand. For a moment, she forgot about the cafe, forgot about Keanu, forgot about the warm tea and gentle words. All she saw was the ceiling, plain and cracked. The same way it had been during every sleepless night for the past few months. Then it came back, the conversation. The calm way he'd said her name, and most of all, the message thread he showed. Her, a director she had admired for years, now just a tap away. She sat up quickly and reached for her phone. One notification glowed on the screen, an email. Her heart skipped. It wasn't from her agent. It wasn't even from Keanu. It was directly from the director himself. The subject line was simple. Keanu spoke about you. Anna opened it with shaky fingers. Hi, Anna. Keanu told me about your audition and your spirit. I trust his eye. I'd like to meet you. Come to my studio this Friday at 10 a.m. No pressure, no lines to memorize. Just come as yourself. Thomas Grayson. Anna froze. Her heart thudded so loud she could hear it in her ears. Thomas Grayson, the man who had directed for Oscar-winning films. The man whose actors always gave the most honest, raw performances. She read the email again. Then again, this wasn't a dream. It was real. Keanu had done something behind the scenes quietly, without promises, without asking for anything. And now, one of the most respected voices in Hollywood wanted to see her, but with the excitement came fear. Messed up? What if Thomas didn't like her in person? What if it was just a favor and nothing more? Anna sat back, trying to calm her thoughts. The walls of her small apartment suddenly felt closer, tighter. She walked over to the mirror and looked at herself. No makeup, messy hair, tired eyes. Just come as yourself, the email said. So she would. The next few days passed in a blur. She rehearsed, not lines, but grounding techniques. Breathing slowly, walking with purpose. Reminding herself that she had value even if she never got the role. Her old acting coach's words came back to her. Don't try to be impressive. Try to be real. On Friday morning, she wore simple jeans, a clean shirt, and tied her hair back. No glam, no performance. Just herself. The studio was hidden in a quiet part of town, surrounded by trees and sunlight. A quiet assistant welcomed her and led her into a room with large windows and soft rugs on the floor. Thomas Grayson stood by a table, sipping coffee, reading something with glasses low on his nose. He looked up and smiled. Nana, he said, like they were old friends. Thanks for coming. She nodded, still unsure whether to sit or stand. Relax, he said, motioning toward a chair. We're not auditioning today. I just wanted to talk. Anna sat down, her hands folded in her lap. She tried not to fidget. Keanu speaks highly of you, Thomas said. I trust him more than most people. He's kind, Anna said softly. I didn't expect him to help me like that. Thomas studied her. I'm not interested in perfect actors. I'm interested in people who carry something deep inside them. When I watched a clip of you, the one from that student film 3 years ago, I saw truth, not polish. Truth. Anna swallowed hard. Thank you. I'm writing a story, he continued, about someone who's been ignored for years. Someone who finds her voice, not by shouting, but by being still in the noise. When I saw you, I thought, maybe you understand that. Anna didn't speak. She just nodded, because the lump in her throat had grown too large. We're still early in casting, he said. But I want you to come back in a week, not for a test, just to explore the character. No pressure. It's like that. Anna whispered. Thomas stood. I'm glad you came. As she left the studio, the sunlight felt warmer, the wind softer. She didn't know if she'd get the role, but something in her had changed. She wasn't chasing approval anymore. She was discovering who she truly was. That evening, Anna walked to the cafe again, not expecting anything, just needing to sit in the place where something had begun. But when she stepped inside, Keanu was already there. Same table, same quiet presence. He looked up and smiled like he'd been expecting her. She sat down slowly. How did you know I'd come? It didn't, he said. I just hoped you would. Anna took a deep breath. He wants me to come back, not to audition, just to explore the role. Keanu's eyes warmed. Then he sees what I saw. She blinked, emotions rising again. Why did you help me, Keanu, really? Paused, then said quietly, because someone once did it for me. And because sometimes the world needs more people who still believe, even when they're tired. Anna nodded slowly. I want to be one of those people. Keanu raised his mug. Then you already are. The echo of first days that followed weren't easy for Anna. The excitement of Thomas, Grayson's invitation, had slowly faded into nervous tension. In the quiet of her apartment, fear crept back in. It whispered in her ears when she woke up. It clung to her fingers when she tried to write in her journal. It lingered in the silence after every deep breath. What if she disappointed him? What if Keanu had been wrong about her? What if she wasn't ready for any of this? She tried to stay calm. She went on long walks, trying to quiet her thoughts. She drank herbal tea, listened to soft music, and avoided social media completely. She didn't want to see headlines about actresses booking major roles or red carpet photos. It only made the pressure heavier. One night as she sat by the window staring at the city lights, her phone rang. It was a private number. She almost let it go to voicemail, but something made her pick up. Hello? Her voice was cautious. Anna. It's Keanu. She straightened in her seat. Hi. ... I don't mean to bother you, he said. Just wanted to check in, see how you're holding up. She sighed. Honestly, I'm scared. There was silence on the other end. Then Keanu's voice came through, soft but steady. Fear is normal. It means you care. Anna looked down at her lap. But what if caring too much makes me mess up? It won't, Keanu said. It means your heart's in it. That's the only kind of actor Thomas wants. The rest. We can all learn, but heart, that can't be taught. Anna leaned her head against the window. Thank you. I needed that. Take this too, Keanu added. When I first started, I thought I had to be perfect. Every line, every movement. But the roles that stayed with people, those came when I let go. When I trusted the moment. Anna nodded slowly, even though he couldn't see her. I'll try. Before they hung up, Keanu said one more thing. You're not alone in this, Anna. Remember that. The following morning, Anna walked into the studio again. This time, she wasn't led into the same room. Instead, the assistant guided her down a hallway filled with film posters, Thomas's work, stories that had made millions cry, laugh, and think. They stopped at a wide black door. The assistant smiled. He's waiting for you inside. Anna pushed the door open and stepped into a large open space. Black walls, high ceilings, and one spotlight in the center of the room. Thomas stood there with a small script in his hand. You came, he said. Yes, Anna replied. He handed her a page. This is a piece from the character I mentioned. Read it once, then let's talk. Anna took the script with trembling fingers. It was a monologue, just a few lines, but full of emotion. I waited by the window every day, not for someone to save me, but for someone to remind me I was still real, that I still mattered. She read it once. Then again, her throat tightened. Thomas watched her quietly. Whenever you're ready. Anna stepped into the circle of light. She didn't raise her voice.
Act.
She didn't act in the traditional sense. Instead, she just spoke from the place in her that remembered waiting, that remembered rejection, that remembered how lonely belief could feel. When she finished, the room was silent. Thomas stood for a long moment before speaking. That ... was honest. Anna looked down. I didn't know if I was doing it right. You weren't acting, Thomas said. You were being.
Nice.
Rare. He walked over to her and gently took the script back. How would you feel, he asked, if we did a screen test next week? Anna's eyes widened. Really? Yes, Thomas said simply. I think you're exactly what this role needs. Heart felt like it might burst. Thank you, she whispered. As she left the studio that day, she didn't need music or a quiet cafe to steady her. Her own heartbeat was enough. Later that night, she texted Keanu Dadana. He asked me to do a screen test next week. Keanu, I knew he would. Anna, I didn't. Keanu, that's why it's beautiful. She smiled at the screen, but just as she began to relax, her phone buzzed again, this time with a new name. Her manager. The message was short. You should know, someone else is also testing for the role. You might want to see who. Anna's heart dropped. She clicked on the link he sent. It led to an industry blog. Halfway down the page, she saw the headline. Hollywood rising star Lily Arden, rumored to be frontrunner for Grayson's new film. Anna stared at the photo. Lily, with her perfect smile, perfect resume, and massive online following. Suddenly, all the fear rushed back in. Keanu had helped her. Thomas had seen something in her. But what if none of it mattered? What if the decision had already been made? Ending. Line, and as Anna stared at the headline, she realized this wasn't just a screen test anymore. It was a test of everything she believed about herself. The battle with Anana didn't sleep that night. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling. The glow of her phone screen still burned into her mind. Lily Arden, the actress everyone knew, the one already praised as the next big thing. She wasn't just popular, she was safe. Producers loved her, studios trusted her, and audiences followed her every move. Anna felt small again. Like the girl who used to sit alone in the back row of auditions, hoping someone would notice she existed. What chance do I really have? Thought over and over. When the sun finally came up, it brought no warmth. Anna forced herself to get up, make coffee, and stare at the notes she'd written for the screen test. But the words blurred. Her confidence had cracked. By noon, she considered canceling. Just then, a message arrived. Not from her manager, not from Keanu, but from Thomas himself. Hey Anna, just wanted to say don't think of this as a competition. I'm not looking for the best actress. I'm looking for the most truthful one. See you soon. Anna stared at the message for a long time. No director she had ever worked with had sent something like that still. Her heart was heavy. She knew Thomas was sincere, but she also knew how this business worked. Sometimes truth wasn't enough. Sometimes it came down to numbers and names. On the morning of the screen test, Anna arrived early. Too early, the studio was quiet. Few crew members set up lights. A woman with a clipboard handed her a short script and asked her to wait in the green room. The same green room where Lily Arden sat. Anna almost turned back, but Lily looked up and smiled. Hey, Anna, right? Anna nodded. Yeah, I've seen your work, Lily said. You're really good. Anna blinked. She hadn't expected kindness. Thanks. You too. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Lily said something that surprised her. This role is different, she whispered. It's not about fame. It's about being brave. I don't even know if I'm right for it. Anna looked at her. Lily didn't seem arrogant. She seemed nervous, real. Me neither, Anna admitted. Lily smiled softly. Then maybe one of us will surprise him. They didn't speak again. But in that moment, Anna felt something shift. It wasn't about winning anymore. It was about giving the role the truth it deserved. When Anna stepped onto the test set, Thomas was waiting behind the camera. The lights were warm. The space was empty, except for one chair in the middle. Whenever you're ready, he said. Anna sat down. She held the script but didn't look at it. Can I just speak from memory? Jal asked. Thomas nodded. Anna closed her eyes for a second, then opened them and began. I waited by the window every day, not for someone to save me, but for someone to remind me I was still real, that I still mattered. Her voice didn't shake this time. She looked straight into the camera, but her heart spoke beyond it. She thought of all the nights she cried alone, all the moments she wanted to quit, all the silent rejections, and most of all, she thought of that rainy evening, the door that stayed shut, and the man who offered her tea instead of judgment. She finished. The room was still. Thomas lowered the camera. Thank you, Anna, he said, his voice softer than ever. You gave us something special? She nodded, then slowly walked off set. Outside, she passed Lily in the hallway. They exchanged a look, not of rivalry, but of quiet respect. Later that evening, Anna sat on the steps outside the studio. The air was cool, Soft breeze moved through the trees. Keanu pulled up in a quiet black car. He stepped out and sat beside her without a word. "How'd it go?" he asked after a while. Anna looked at him and smiled.
Ice.
"I stopped pretending." Keanu nodded, his eyes steady. "That's what makes you unforgettable." They sat together. In silence as the sun dipped low, Anna didn't know what would happen next. She didn't know if she'd get the role, but for the first time in her life, that didn't matter as much, because today, she had shown up, and she had told the truth. The call that changed everything. 3 days passed. Anna didn't check her phone much. She didn't want to live in constant wait, refreshing her inbox every hour, hoping for a message that might never come. Instead, she focused on the small things. Cleaning her apartment, walking in the park, writing thoughts in her notebook, anything to keep her mind from spinning in circles. But the silence was loud. She kept replaying the screen test in her head, the lines she spoke. The moment her voice cracked, the way Thomas had looked at her when she finished, part of her felt proud. Another part wondered if it had been enough. On the fourth morning, as the sun peeked through the curtains, her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. She hesitated before walking over to check it was from Thomas. She held her breath as she opened the message. "Can you come to the studio at noon? Bring nothing? Just yourself?" Anna stared at the words, short, vague. No hint of good or bad. She typed back, "Yes, I'll be there." By 11:45, she was walking through the studio gates again. The same old posters lined the hall. The same quiet assistant smiled and nodded as she passed. Everything looked the same, but her heart beat differently now. This time, she didn't feel like an outsider. She didn't feel invisible. She walked into the main rehearsal room, where Thomas stood with a few others from the production team, one of the producers, a casting director. And to her surprise, Lily Arden, Anna froze for a second, unsure if she was interrupting something. Anna, Thomas said gently, "Come in." She stepped inside. "We've made our decision," Thomas said, looking between her and Lily. "But before we say anything, I want to thank both of you. You both gave performances that were honest, deep, and brave. This wasn't an easy choice." Anna's chest tightened. She glanced at Lily, who looked calm, composed. Then Thomas turned to her fully. "Anna," he said, "I want you to play the role." The words didn't land all at once. They floated in the air like a moment too heavy to hold. Anna blinked. "Me, yes," Thomas said. Anna's hands trembled. She didn't know what to say. She felt 100 emotions rushing in at once. Joy, disbelief, relief, even fear. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice catching. Thomas smiled. "Don't thank me. You earned it." She turned to Lily, unsure what to expect, but Lily smiled and stepped forward. "Congratulations," she said warmly. "You deserve this." "Hey." Anna could only nod. She felt too full for words. An hour later, Anna stepped outside the studio, still dazed. She pulled out her phone and sent one message. "Anna, he chose me." Keanu replied almost instantly. "Keanu, I never doubted it. Where are you?" "Anna, outside the studio, just standing here." "Can't move, Keanu. Stay there. I'm coming." 20 minutes later, Keanu pulled up, parked and walked over. No cameras, no crowds. Just a quiet moment between two people who believed in each other. Anna looked at him, tears in her eyes. "I got it." Keanu nodded. "I know." "I was so sure it would be Lily," she admitted. "She's brilliant," Keanu said. "But this wasn't about fame or followers. This was about heart. And you gave them yours." Anna shook her head in disbelief. "Why did you help me that day? You didn't even know me." Keanu looked at her, his eyes calm. "Because I saw someone worth believing in." "And sometimes," he said softly, "a small act of belief is all it takes to change someone's fate." Anna took a deep breath. "You changed mine?" Keanu smiled. "No. You did." That evening, Anna returned to her apartment. She sat on her couch with the script in her hands. The role was now hers, the role that had seemed impossible just a week ago. She thought of the rejection, the doubt. The quiet tears she cried when no one was watching, and she thought of the man who simply said her name with kindness, who didn't try to fix her, but just saw her. She opened the first page of the script and began to read, not as someone who hoped to be part of the story, but as someone who now was the story. The first Tatiana stood on set, her hands gripping the worn leather edges of the script, though by now she barely needed it. The sound of camera rigs being wheeled, crew members talking in low voices, and lights being adjusted filled the space, like a quiet symphony of purpose. Everything was ready. This was day one of shooting. Her first scene was simple. Her character sat by a window reading a letter. But the emotion beneath it was heavy. It was the heart of the story. Thomas wanted it captured in one shot. No cuts. Pure, unfiltered emotion. Anna sat in the scene's small set room. The camera crew moved quietly. Thomas stood behind the monitor. Everyone was watching, but no one said a word. Then came the call. Action. Anna exhaled softly. She picked up the letter on the table. It wasn't just a prop. It was something Thomas had written just for this moment, addressed to her character. She opened it and began to read aloud. You were never invisible. You were just waiting for the right moment to be seen. Her eyes welled up. Not from the words alone, but from everything that had led her to this moment. The rejections, the fear. The night she stood in the rain and thought she wasn't enough. She finished the scene with tears running down her cheeks. Cut, Thomas called, his voice thick with emotion. The room stayed silent. Then soft clapping started. Not from the crew. Not from the team. From Keanu Dutt, he had come to watch the first day of filming. Standing in the shadows, unseen by most. He clapped with quiet pride. Anna smiled at him through her tears. After a moment, Thomas walked over and crouched beside her. That, he said, was exactly why I chose you. Anna laughed quietly, wiping her cheeks. I thought I was going to mess it up. You didn't, Thomas said. You gave it life. As the days passed, Anna transformed. The shy girl who once stood outside casting doors now walked onto set with quiet confidence. She wasn't loud. She didn't need to be. She listened deeply. She carried the story with care. And every scene she delivered added layers to her character that even Thomas hadn't expected. The crew noticed. The other actors noticed. And one by one, they began to follow her lead. Slower, more present, more honest. She wasn't just acting. She was living the role. Between takes, Keanu would visit. He didn't hover. He never gave advice unless asked. Sometimes he just brought her tea or sat quietly nearby with a book. But every time their eyes met, she felt steadier. One afternoon, between takes, she sat with him under a tree near the set. Do you ever miss the early days? She asked. Before everything got big? Keanu looked at the sky. Back then, everything felt uncertain. But there was beauty in that, too. It kept me humble, kept me hungry for meaning. Anna nodded slowly. I think I'm finally starting to understand that. You will, he said, smiling. One day, you'll help someone else the same way. Anna looked at him. I already want to. He placed a hand on her shoulder gently. Then the circle stays unbroken. Months later, the film was finished. When it premiered at a small film festival, nobody expected the kind of response it received. Audience members wept. Critics called it a quiet masterpiece. Most of all, they talked about Anna. A breakout performance filled with rare honesty. The newcomer who made the entire room forget she was acting. A star not because of her shine, but because of her warmth. Anna walked the carpet in a simple dress. No flashy jewelry. No team of stylists around her. She smiled for a few photos but didn't stay long. When the film started, she sat in the back row next to Keanu. She watched herself on screen, not with pride but with gratitude. Gratitude for every closed door. Gratitude for every quiet moment when she chose not to give up. Gratitude for the man who had once said her name like it mattered. After the credits rolled, the entire theater stood and clapped. Anna stood slowly, her eyes glassy. Keanu leaned in and whispered, You see now? See what? She asked, her voice low. That the world didn't need you to change to love you, he said. It just needed to see you. Anna turned and hugged him tightly. And for the first time in a long, long time, she felt completely finally seen. Months passed. Awards came. More scripts followed. But Anna stayed the same. Quiet, kind, thoughtful. When a young actress reached out to her on social media saying she felt lost and unseen, Anna replied, not with advice, but with an invitation. It's just like Keanu had once offered her.